Hey everyone, so in this video we are going to add an additional feature that provides more information to the player. Specifically, we are going to add a tooltip hover text. So when you point at the individual skills, what happens is a window will appear and there will be several lines of text. It'll name the skill and then it will also have a line of text describing what kind of damage and how much damage. So this will say /50 physical damage. And it'll have any additional information like poison lasts for 3 rounds, stun lasts for 3 rounds, that kind of thing. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the background image for the window. This was just drawn in an external paint program. Again, nothing special about it. The only thing worth noting is that the background portion of the object, as opposed to the frame, is set as translucent. If you have a paint program, you can do that. We'll just put that right into the scene. And we'll start by changing the order in the layer to 10 because all the windows are 10. That way it's above everything except the text. For the moment, let's put this at -5 and -3. And now what we're going to do, we need the icons to be aware of this window so they can manipulate its position. So we would do that through the icon script. So if we go to icons, we'll add a new variable here. So public transform, and it will be stat win obj. Again, you can name it whatever you want. I try to be consistent with the naming. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail. So that script is attached to every one of these icons, which means that they will all now have a linkage for the stat window object. So now it's just a matter of drag and dropping onto each one of them. If you have several objects that you're trying to add something to, if those objects all have exactly the same components, you can select them all. But in this case, it's only five objects, so it's easy enough just to do it manually. Okay, so now they all are aware of the window and they can all make changes to it. Specifically, they're going to change its position. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this particular feature is because I've already shown you how to use on mouse down. To make this work, I need to show you on mouse enter and on mouse exit. And that is when the mouse first enters the collider area, on mouse enter takes effect. In that case, the window would be moved into the player's visibility. So it'll start off the side of the screen. It'll get moved here. Okay. So on mouse enter is when the mouse first passes into the collider area. On mouse exit is therefore the opposite, when it first passes out of the collider area, and then this will be moved based on that. So let's go ahead and add that to the icon script. So that's on mouse down. This should be outside of it. So on mouse, and you can see there's enter and exit there. Let's just go ahead and put both in on mouse exit. So what we need to do, we need to move that new object. So skill, what did I call it? Stat. So stat window object, and get component. So we're getting a component of the stat window object. Which component? The transform component. All right, well, what aspect of the transform component? Well, the position. And we're going to change it. And it's a vector 2 because it is a 2D environment. And we said it's going to be -5 and -3. Which means we need to reverse this. For on mouse exit, we need this to go away. So we'll just like bump it up to like -15, something like that. So just move it way off to the left side. So if I haven't forgotten anything, that will already control the window. So let's now move this off the screen and see if it works. Here we go. Now what we're going to do, we are going to create a text object. We're going to attach it to this object. So the text object will be a child. That way, when you move the window, the text will move as well. So that way you don't have to move all the text. Like if you have 3, 4, 5 text objects, they will all move as long as they're attached to the window. So game object, 3D object, 3D text. And since we're going to want this centered in the window, although you can do whatever you want, I'm going to center it. So the anchor needs to be middle center. For the moment, for default, we'll just type name. Character size will be 0.2. Font size will be 18. And since it's text and we want to be consistent, we'll have it be controlled by the text script. And so we'll just take the text script and drag and drop it there. And we'll call this skill name text. On a side note, I think this is probably the simplest coding I've ever come up for such a complex battle system, because this is almost a complete battle system now, and the whole thing is being controlled by just 5 scripts. So I am happy with that accomplishment. So we go to our stat window object, and we attach, actually, let's put this back, make it easy for lining things up. Our text, let's center this. Centered-ish. Actually, it should also just be -5 then. Should have the same center. Okay. So we take that text object, drag and drop it onto the window object, and now it is a child. So when the window moves, the text will move as well. So you don't have to control that. We just need to change this now. So the way we're going to change it is going to be 3 ways. First, or there's 3 aspects to it. First, we're going to create a new variable. That variable, like a lot of static variables, are created in the GameFlow script. So it gets created in GameFlow. That variable will then be modified in the icon section, because that's where we're doing the on mouse over, okay? So that's where we're going to set the value, and then that value gets applied in the text script because we've already applied the text script to control the text. So let's go ahead and do that. So step 1, GameFlow, create that new variable. Public static string, and it's going to be skill name. That now gets changed in the icon area. So what we need to do is we need to build out the on mouse enter. Basically, for every icon, we need to add that to the on mouse enter, because we can't build out on mouse down to control on mouse enter. They're 2 different functions. You can copy and paste to save yourself a little time, and you could possibly also create mistakes copy and pasting. So decide for yourself if it's worth the time copying and pasting, or if it's better to just manually type this out. So if it's the start icon, then GameFlow dot skill name will be set to /. Now we're going to build that out for each and every icon, but just so you get the sense of the flow, we're going to pause, go to the text, and then apply it. So we go to the, let's save that, and now we go to the text object, and in the text object, in the update section, or the text script, I should say, we do if game object, well, let's try that again. If game object dot name equals skill name text. Hopefully I didn't make a typo. And then it's going to use that new game flow dot skill name. Whoops, it's going to use that, but I didn't do that right. So get component. So you're getting a component the object descriptor is attached to, and that object that we want to change is the text mesh, specifically the text, and we want it to be set to that. So sorry, I jumped the gun when I typed that out originally. So again, we're checking the name of the object it's attached to. If it's attached to this one, then we want to change the text to the skill name. So this will only work for fire. In fact, we'll make one more change to make it work. So we are setting the value, but we're not wiping out. So on mouse exit, we really want to reset all these values to blank. So game flow dot skill, skill name is equal to blank. For this to be applied, it already is. This, no matter how many values we set this to, this will keep applying it. So we don't have to do another line of code because we've changed it. We could change this 100 times. This is going to display whatever it's been changed to. So if I haven't forgotten anything, that will have fire will work. The other ones will not. We just need to move this off the screen. Not fire, excuse me, the sword icon, I believe. So, like if I point at this one, okay, you've got the windows. But if I point at this one, there you go. And as I say, it's now rinse and repeat. You can either do the rest yourself or you can follow along. I'm just going to do a bunch of copying and pasting. So we copy, we paste, and then I come up here just to make sure I get the correct verbiage. So the two things that you're changing, so if you want, you copy and paste the previous one, you're changing the value of the name, and you're changing the name of the icon this is attached to, that is, and you're changing, obviously, to the corresponding skill. And why am I using lower cases? And again, rinse and repeat. Copy, paste. What's the next icon? We did sword, we did fire, we'll do heal. And again, this is all in the on mouse enter. We're checking for when the mouse is entering the icon by this name. So we're going to skip the potion, but we will do poison. Just forgot to copy paste. You can do the potion if you want. I just don't feel like thinking about where do we want to position the window on the other side of the screen. You can decide for yourself. Again, at a certain point, you need to be able to take this functionality and reconstitute it and modify it for your own use. And again, you can call this whatever you want. You could call this blaze, whatever. So poison. We said we're going to skip potion, so the next one is light. And that one I'm just going to type in manually because it's just light. And again, once we've made all these changes, we do not have to do anything else here because every single frame, because that's how update works, it runs once per frame, it's already checking to see what this value is. So it doesn't matter that we have all these different values. Whatever it gets set to, it's already going to be applied. So this scales very, very well. So if I haven't forgotten anything, now they all should work. Okay. So now, again, sorry for keep saying it, but rinse and repeat. You're just building on what I did, and you're going to just do it again and again and again. So let's move this back to -5. And you're just going to add another one of these. So copy, paste, make sure it's a child, and maybe it's skill. And we can just call this line 1, whatever. Move it down. Looks like it's taking up a lot of space, so you might want to change the font size, or you could change the window size, whatever works for you. And so what you need is exactly a repeat of what we just did. So you create a new variable for the value. So new variable for that text. In the areas you've already created, you're just going to modify the new object, the new variable along with this one. And then again, you're going to mirror this. You're going to look for this new object and change the name. So let's go ahead and do that. Going to do it really quick. Skip ahead a couple minutes if you want. So we create that new variable. So public static string and skill line 1. Yes, I'm duplicating names. I try to avoid that to avoid confusion, but it has actually been a rather long night. I keep messing up this tutorial, so I want to wrap it up. And okay. So there's skill line 1. And then we go to the icons, and in the sections that we already made, we just add that new value. So gameflow dot skill line 1 this time equals, say, 50 PHY damage. So 50 physical damage. You can type the whole thing out if you want. And again, copy, paste, and this is, I don't remember, 30 fire damage. And this is now, if you want 3 lines, then like I said, you're just going to add a third object, a third variable, change it here, and that one is where you could do it lasts for 3 rounds kind of thing. So as you can see, this goes much faster, not just because I'm not explaining it, but because you've already done the heavy lifting. You already created a section for each name. Now you're just building out what's being done there. And now, again, we're mirroring this. And by the way, when we copied this object here, it has the script on it already. We can double check though. So this name is skill line 1, and that should be skill line 1. So if I haven't forgotten anything, that should do it. Let's quickly come back over here. So that's skill line 1. That's applying skill line 1 to the skill line 1 object. Skill line object does have text. I think that should do it. Let's now move this back off the screen. There's actually one thing. Technically, we don't have to do it. But just as we set this to blank, we should really set this to blank as well, too. Again, for consistency's sake. So it would have worked, but I don't want anyone to see a gap in logic and wonder why I did that or didn't do that. Okay. Slash 50 physical damage, fire 30 fire damage, heals 50 healing, poison 30 poison damage. There. So the formatting may not look great. It's basically just plain text, but you can build on that. So that's really it. Now you've added a hover tooltip, hover text tooltip, and again, it's about providing information to the player. You don't want them guessing about how things work unless that's how you want your game to roll, then so be it. But generally for a game like this, you want to empower the player. You want them to know what they're doing because the whole idea is about the strategy. How do you defeat the foe in front of you? So you want them to be able to know what an ability does, and so that way they can make an informed decision. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it a few minutes ago, so this is what's known as a constant. You are setting it to a value. So this is a variable. It's being set to a constant. You can set a variable to a variable. So in other words, see how this says 50 healing? What if as you level up, your heals do more healing? What you could do is rather than this being a constant, you could actually put the variable outside of the quotes. So it could be whatever the heal number is, and then that gets that is a prefix to this. So it's known as concatenating. You are taking two text and you're lining them up together, or two or more text, and you're putting them together. So this doesn't have to be a constant. This can be a variable. So if you want, I can show you that. I think I've already shown you other examples of concatenating. If not, just leave a comment and I can show you how to do that. So I think that should be it for this video. And unless there's any more requests, this might be the last video, maybe one more. I know I keep saying that. It's just there haven't been many views, but sometimes it takes literally years for people to see one of my videos and then they want me to do more. And at that point, the project is gone. So maybe one more video, but there haven't been any requests. But this is really a full-featured system now. And even at this is more kind of the bells and whistles aspect of it, that it would function just fine without that. But again, I'm a big fan of giving information to the player, particularly when it's a strategy game and that they're trying to make good decisions. They can't make good decisions if they're guessing about how things work. So anyways, I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that... So if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments, and please enjoy the rest of your day.